behalf of the people that live around Bladenboro in the Bright Swamp Basin, concerning the use of the grant funds that were obtained by the county staff to help some runs. I own approximately 1.5 miles to 2 miles of the main run below Bladenboro. And before Hurricane Fran, before Hurricane Floyd, before Hurricane Matthew, it was basically open. But we have an area that's approximately 600 feet below the Barry Lewis Road and 1,500 foot below the Barry Lewis Road, that we have some old beaver dams that has hundreds of truckloads of sand washed down from the erosion of the Bright Swamp drainage project. And we have probably an 8-foot dam in there. I walked in there yesterday evening and looked at the situation, and Mr. Morris does not feel like there needs to be any settlement moved. He said it was a good job in '97. He said it was a good job after 2000. Water didn't go down an inch. Didn't go down an inch. And unless this is addressed, you're throwing away that money. I was not allowed to meet with Mr. Morris and the so-called Bright Swamp Drainage Corporation. They had a meeting, but I was not allowed to be there. That's the only way Bladenboro is going to stop being flooded. There was a canal that was built in this area. Bright Swamp Canal was channelized in about 1930 by the WPA. That canal is what is stopped up by the beavers, and the Bright Swamp Drainage Corporation, even though they certified to the clerk of court that they would start at the end of the Davis Canal with a 32-foot wide canal and bring it up to my line, what's now my line below the Richardson Road. The money was used elsewhere, and the drainage, the outlet was never built. So we're like a bathtub with somebody turning the water on, and eventually it gets full and it floods down the Bladenboro. It was kind of amazing because during Hurricane Matthew, the water built up behind my ponds and actually pushed back into my ponds from the west. And you're wasting the money if you're spending it there. Mr. Morris does not seem to think there's a problem. I think that people of Bladenboro think it did flood. And I would venture to say that lowered the flood in the town of Bladenboro probably 2 foot if it had been open. But it's been closed since, I'd say, 83, 85. And we had a major event that moved hundreds of truckloads, dump truckloads of sugar sand, especially out of lateral 2 down, and it just made a big berm where the beaver dams were.
Why is, if I can interrupt you, why is he telling you that need cleaning out then? In other words, what's his comment to you in reference to it?
He's not been willing to talk to me about it. But I went back and pulled all their inspections of the Bright Swamp drainage and whatnot, and there's an awful lot of falsehoods. They say when a cooler hasn't moved 100 foot in a year, that the water is moving well. And this all started back under Mr. Gallahue, went on with Mr. Sam Warren, and they just, I'll be truthful with you, I'll credit it with just sorriness. Real blunt.
Well, I think it just, and hold on just a minute, Mr. Cottrell. We'll get with him and get him to address it with us to see what his take on it is, and we'll find out what the problem is. I mean, if it's something that's doable and feasible, and it sounds like it's something that needs to be done, but let's talk to him about it and see.
I've been over in Bladenboro. Several people have called me about water flooding in Bladenboro. And I know one gentleman complained that some of the land was dammed off where the water wouldn't run off and backing up on everybody else's property. Then there was complaining about seaboard, I think, railroad coming through there and getting drainage stuff in on one part of it. And then they was having problems with drainage because some of the people wouldn't allow you to dig, escalate dishes to their property. And when I got to talking with it, I called to Raleigh and spoke with the Water and Soil Conservation Commission, and they said that that would be an issue that should be referred to the Water and Soil Board here in the county to report to them. And what I'm asking, have you
Yes,
been
sir.
to our Water and Soil Board?
Not in the last year, but I have been to it about it and all, and I've been to Raleigh, and all. The problem was this Bryant Swamp Drainage Corporation was formed in the late sixties, early seventies, among a few people. And under the statutes, each landowner that's got an acre of land has a share. But we've never had a meeting. I've never been allowed to go to a meeting or vote or anything else. The town of Bladenboro and the Johnson Law Firm affirmed to the Secretary of State that it was a viable corporation. I say that's a lie. I say that's a lie. Because I cannot find any meetings, I cannot find anything that they've done that follows the statutes that the project was built on.
I have a question. What type of corporation is it? Is it LLC, is it S corp?
It's not a LLC. It wasn't even registered in Raleigh when I tried to smoke the thing out in 2005, I believe it was. And it wasn't registered in Raleigh. It was under the statutes that this project was done on. They approached the clerk of courts, and it was filed in the clerk of court's office under a number. The lawyer that filed it was from Whiteville. He had died. I couldn't find it. I want to thank the Johnson Law Firm for finding it, because when they found it, it showed me that they certified that they would dig 32 foot wide from the end of the Davis Canal, which is a very specific place, up to my line, and that it was never done. The money was used upstream. And it was just a disaster from day one by the soil conservation people and all. And I've been fighting this thing for 40 years. And it's a situation that I'm not backing down. I may end up trying to get the town of Bladenboro to sue the soil conservation and the Drainage Corporation, because they got 25 miles of ditches pulling into Bladenboro and no outlet, and wondering why it floods. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Singletary, what is your contact phone number?
My house number is 648-4978. My cell phone number is 874-3217, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll either get me or my wife.
648-4978
Yes, sir.
and 874-3217.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
One thing, is any other farmers or landowners having major concerns with this? Is there any other people involved with this?
On the lower side of Bladenboro, between Bladenboro and Bryant Swamp, you could fill the whole thing up and it wouldn't affect my cleared farmland. It does us no good. But I own most of it. From my point on, we've got a tremendous amount of grounded timber and whatnot going all the way to Big Swamp. But it's and I've cooperated each time they've cleaned it out and they've done this clean out mess, and it's been just throwing away money.
Lawrence Pfohmam. I live at 232 Steffi's Way in Bladenboro. Now, can I bring you? Sure. I don't know if you have anything to do with DOT, but they've taken that down on 701 Bladentown. And it was always a nice city for the last 12 years that I've lived here. And now that's gone.
Out on 701 right before you get to the highway patrol station.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, 'cause that's where I live, and you're right, I miss it myself.
Now, before you even get to that, there's a turn off, to go either to Whiteville or Whiteville or Eaton. And there are no signs when you come off of maybe 7. You get to the stop sign, and if you want to run, you wouldn't turn left to turn right. I don't know why they forgot to put any signs in there. Anyway, you could have that.
What he's talking about is on 701 right at the edge, past Sampson Bladen, you used to have a picnic table on the roadside, but that's been removed. The table on the trash
Well,
can there.
the table was really in bad shape, but still, it was nice on a good day to go out there and have a little lunch or whatever, especially if you're going to your pet's office. This is where I live, okay, this is the Locust Road, Church Road, coming down. And this is coming into what they call College Point. Tony Pravat, put in, I'm there 12 years, so I guess it's about 20 years when he started this project. We have a water line that comes down and it terminates on my property at the cul-de-sac. The water company,
Back up in voice with folks.
oh, I'm sorry.
You just back up. You sit right there and speak about it.
Yeah, then you speak to him.
And that way you can voice with folks.
From here?
Yeah, this is.
Oh.
Pull that mic closer.
Put it mic closer.
Yeah.
You said on Steffi's Way, you're at the end of the street. I'm familiar with Steffi's Way, so.
Okay, well, at the end, at the cul-de-sac is where the water supply, there's a water supply that comes down from the street, from the main, but it was never ever turned and brought back up. So the water line basically, is drained off by the houses that are there. And right now, there are 15 houses on Steffi's Way. 7 lots are empty. They came out last year, and they have there's a valve that they can open up, and then there's a gush of water that comes up on my lawn. And it's about yay tall. Well, last year, it ran for 5 hours, and I'll show you the samples. It didn't change from the time they turned it on at 3 o'clock until 8 o'clock that night. And I went out to the guy and I said, is this gonna, mess with my hot water? This was at 2 p.m. He opened up the thing. He came back probably about 6 o'clock and shut it down to where it was just like lowly bubbling on the lawn. Well, after 2 weeks, I got a little tired of going out to the mailbox and getting, stuck in the mud, and the whole lawn was all, in fact, right now it's all brown because of the flooding. So I called, and the one time, and within 20 minutes, the guy came out and shut it all off. I was, happy, but I've never, ever heard a word from the water company saying, there's nothing wrong with drinking this stuff. They seem to totally dismiss it, and they kind of treat you like, well, you're lucky you got water. They try to accuse Tony Pravat of putting the wrong lines in. Well, his engineers and whatever, proved them wrong. The size of the pipe that he put in that crosses the street, which is Pleasant Grove Church Road, is twice the size that it would have to be by law. So there was no problem. This was back when there was an issue about pressure. So they came out and they kind of just passed it off to, and I went to Tony and I said, Tony, and he got a hold of them and showed them exactly what his people put in there. So they didn't have to tear up the whole road trying to, figure. It never changed anything. They said it might have been everybody was running water at the same time up from you, which lowered the pressure. Because I went to turn the faucet on in the kitchen, there was no pressure. But that, to me, isn't the issue. I'd love to know what's in this water.
We can address that, Greg, and I share the same concern with you. I don't live at Steffi's Way, I'm at the other side of the county, but honestly, I witnessed the same thing. And it's when I'm assuming they're flushing the lines, and it's very easy to tell if you're running a faucet, you see a milky looking look, and then you see it in your johns, and that's when my assumption then is they flushed the lines. But
Right,
like I
that's what
say,
they-
that afternoon or later on that evening, it normally clears itself up. But you're right, nobody's called me either, never
I
told me
usually
about it.
come with her, so she asked me to come along. And I believe the two things that y'all will have this evening is our application for payment for the roof projects that we were doing at Bladenboro at the middle school and the primary school. And actually, those projects are really almost done. We're just kind of doing our final walkthrough. We'll be coordinating the next few weeks. I think that document just requires your signature like our Board of Education chairman did. And then the other thing that you should have is our capital outlay projects list. And the only thing there that might look a little bit different is you get toward the bottom, you'll see concrete for pads for dumpsters at E-Town Middle School and Primary School and bus garage, and you'll see that twice, almost at the bottom, at the very bottom. It's not so much that that's a typo, it's just we used the same vendor and they were done at a different time. So the $3,700, that was for the dumpsters that we were having to do at the schools. Those are beside, behind the cafeteria, because the health department continues to write you up until you get that on the hard surface. You can't have it on the open ground. That's what that is. And then the one at the bottom, the $2,400 one, is a standalone concrete pad that I added to the bus garage. It's a gravel, gravel drive there. There's no pavement there. And we did that just to have another workable bay, albeit on the outside. But that's why they're separated like that. They're not really the same project twice.
Motion to approve A, B, C, D.
We have a motion by Mr. Peterson, got a second by Mr. Gooden. Any discussion
Yeah, I have a
further?
question. I guess I missed one of them.
For the ones I was talking about?
No, that's where I didn't answer the question on that one. What was the difference between the middle school one? Was one the roof and one was, what was the other one?
Well, off the roofing application, it's actually broken into three parts, ma'am. One is just Bladenboro Primary School, and then the Bladenboro Middle School is broken into three parts. The gym itself and the
Right,
foyer,
okay.
and then the other part of that is behind that are offices and classrooms.
Thank you.
And that project was split into.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
ma'am.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
We have two items to consider for the health department this evening. Brought to you from the Health and Human Services Advisory Board, some recommendation to approve. These are both continuation agreements. Is the to approve the medical service agreement with the East Coast Migrant Head Start project, and that's the document where we provide child health assessments and screenings for developmental disabilities and delays, and we look at do dental assessments and so on, and make appropriate referrals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Got a motion by Mr. Arthur Bullock, and a second by Mr. Confield.
Number two is the consolidated agreement we have with the state. It's been ongoing for years. The master document is part of what you reviewed, and we get a stack of documents. It's pretty much where the director signs off on an agreement for various programs like maternal health, child health, and family planning. Pretty much we agreed to for X number of dollars for each one of those programs to provide so many services and see individuals in those various clinics for Ada County funds. And there were a few changes, but they were pretty much for the most part technical changes, and none of the changes really added to the health department workload, nor added any additional cost to the county.
Make a motion to approve.
Second motion by Dr. Moon Goins, and a second by Mr. Bullock. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Ms. Rand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To go over the dashboard for the month end of February, it's 67% of the budget. On the revenues, we have collected 64.6% in the general fund and spent 55.39%. The jail project, we're at 94% of the budget. Solid waste, we've collected 72% and spent almost 63%. Virtual telephone, we've collected 38% and spent 50%. And the water project, we've collected 72, almost 73%, and spent 44%. And I did questions about that. Thank you.
General Service Department, Kip McVicker is out under the weather tonight, and Mr. McVicker did come up. And And while he's coming up, he's gonna be talking about roadside litter. And I'll have to tell y'all, I have to plug the sheriff on this. He came in 2 or 3 months ago and we were just casually talking and he brought up an idea and it was on what he was gonna tell you tonight. But then he approached Mr. Martin and the board and I want to commend the sheriff. It's a good idea. I probably had last week alone 4 calls on litter on the side of the roads. And now grass has started. They got a call from that on 211 coming out of Clarkson from a lady. And, because some areas, them not picking up trash where he cut it. But go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we've had a lot of complaints about the litter. And we had this misdemeanor consignment program now, which has worked out great. And what we want to do is use those inmates to for them at time and have a supervisor with them and work different roads in the county where we're having problems with the litter picking up. Mr. McClary has the money in place from a part-time position he had not used in the amount of $10,000. And I have offered to add $5,000 to that from my budget. And I think Ms. Shantia is trying to come up with a job description to try to get a part-time person. And what we'd like to do is just from now to June, just try on a trial basis and see how it works. We have the money to do that. And I can't help believe if we go very well, and it'll probably end up in a full-time thing.
Motion approved.
Second motion by Mr. Peterson, a second by Mr. Dallas. Any discussion further? Yes, ma'am.
When you plan or get this program up and running, you say it's throughout the county?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it like scheduled, like you said, before the mowers come through?
Well,
Or how?
Yes.
Well, we would try to work with the state, but in that respect, that question has come up. We have to be real careful not to announce where we'll be.
Right.
If
I
you
got
do,
you.
so, we will do our best to work with the state on that.
And that part's contracted out too.
Sure, man, I've seen them out there on the 87 bypass, some young men. And they don't look like they're inmates or anything. Who's that?
They have on MC and US highways, they have a contract, just the main highways. Where our problems are is on the rural paved roads.
I've seen them. I was wondering who those guys were, because they didn't have no guards just out in the street.
And that's only 87 and 7.
Yeah, it was 87.
That's right.
Back by the house.
One question though, this money amounts that you're giving, would you need to buy signs or anything that the general public know that, hey?
We are. We've already checked with DOC. They will provide the signs. And you should have all that.
Just a breakdown.
Good job.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
All right, under B, have any discussion on that? You got a motion on it? Motion, Mr. Peterson, second by Ashley. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. This is the Town Planning and Zoning Commission, Board of Adjustments, ETJ. The we're taking one at a time. We got a motion by Mr. Peterson on recommendation on Eddie Sutton. Any more recommendations?
Second motion.
We got a second by Mr. Bullock. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Let's go, this Town Planning and Zoning Commission Board of Adjustments.
Motion to reappoint.
Second.
Got a motion to reappoint. We got a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So be it. Juvenile Crime Prevention Council.
Motion to reappoint.
A motion to appoint by Mr. Peterson, a second by Mr. Gooden. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Advisory Board appointments for consideration on April 16, 2018 meeting in Town Fire District Committee 3, Health and Human Service Agency Advisory Council 3, Keep Bladen Beautiful 2. That's really good. Ties in with what the sheriff's doing. County Manager, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to review the calendar with you for the remainder of the month of March and also April. And point out that tomorrow from 9 a.m. until 11, a dementia-friendly education series will begin. The first session tomorrow is titled The Basics, Memory Loss, Dementia, and Alzheimer's Disease, and this will be held at Trinity United Methodist Church. Also, there's a Thrive Summit in Greensboro that's being held by the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners on Wednesday and Thursday. On Wednesday evening, the diabetes forums continue at Baldwin Branch Missionary Baptist Church in the Fellowship Hall, and they begin at 5:30. This weekend, the 26th annual Old Fashioned Planners Day will be held in Garland. Also, on Saturday at 5:30, the Politician Appreciation Day will be held at Louisville Vineyard. There's a special meeting regarding the budget next Tuesday, the 27th at 4 p.m. And offices will be closed on Friday the 30th in observance of the Easter holiday, Good Friday. Moving over to April, on Tuesday, the board meets at 6:30 that evening. Also, the diabetes forums continue through April on Wednesdays. On Saturday, the 7th, from 11 until 5, the Bladenboro Spring Fling will be held. The Health and Human Services Advisory Committee meets on Monday the 9th at 5:30 p.m. There's a dementia-friendly, the second series will be on Tuesday, April 10th, from 9 until 11, and that will be titled Effective Communication Strategies. The chamber meets that day at 12, and then the opioid forum will be held at Bladen Community College at 2. That may be at 1. Is that?
It's gonna be 1 to 4, it's gonna be at the health department.
I just thought about that. It is gonna be at the health
Yeah,
department?
the book.
Which one is that now?
Book.
1 to 4, John,
That's the opioid? 1 to 4?
at the health department.
It's some kind of special, I can't remember the
Now,
title.
they got people coming in.
Yeah,
to
there's a
just
special speaker.
get the information as it comes out.
At the where again?
Health department, 1 to 4.
On Thursday, the 12th, there, from 10 until 12, there is a session titled Opioid 101 that will be hosted by East Point, and it will be held at the Pfohmam Agricultural Center. That evening, from 5:30 until 8 p.m., the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners District Meeting will be held in Whiteville. And also that evening at 7, the Bladen County Fire Association meeting will be held at the Hammond Fire Department. The board meets on Monday the 16th at 6:30 p.m. On Wednesday, the 18th, at 7 p.m., there's a Parks and Recreation Master Plan Community Meeting that will be held at the library. Also, on Thursday, the 19th, from 12:30 until 3:30, the Division on Aging will have its spring fling at Louisville Vineyard. And then on Saturday, the 28th, at 10 a.m., the Kelly Spring Festival will be held at the Kelly Ballpark.
Greg, on April the 7th, also, they're having that fundraiser for Robbie, Russell's son.
Okay, thank you.
And then the 21st of April, they're having one for Alvin Butler family in Center Road.
Okay, thank you. At Center Road, Baptist Church.
Yeah.
Does it have time for Ms. Allen, time for them again? Do they have time for Uncle Robbie and,
It's in the evening, I think, it's supposed to be
Yeah.
church. We'll add it to the calendar.
which one's wrong? It's about
On the 7th.
So,
Item D.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Nate Davis was unable to be here this evening, and there is a bid that has been offered to the county to purchase county-owned property, and the expense to the county is $5,700. The bid amount that has been offered is also $5,700. And this is property that is located at 157 Tommy's Drive.
Thomas,
In Elizabeth, in the Elizabethtown Township.
Motion to approve.
second.
got a motion by Mr. Peterson, a second by Mr. Cogdale. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Also, moving to item C, last week we mentioned the Opportunity Zone program that is a result of the tax reform that was approved this past December by Congress. In each county, in North Carolina, each county, there will be approximately 250 zones chosen, or actually census tracts. And, each county has the opportunity to offer one, or to recommend one, and then Governor Cooper will choose 150 additional, tracts. We've had conversation, and as we mentioned last week, the census tract that, is recommended is the one that extends from Dublin through the Highway 87 corridor to the county line near Comores. And then the alternate that is recommended is the tract that, includes Elizabethville. And this offers tax incentives, or will provide tax incentives for new investment.
Mr. Mark,
Yes, sir.
on that, when that tract was proposed, who proposed that and how that come to be?
Well, it's
That's
through
that
Congress.
tract. Who did that?
Well, I know I've had conversation with, Mr. Chuck Eustace, the Economic Development Director. He was in a meeting, a week or so ago with a gentleman from Smithfield, and he asked about this. I had a conversation with Mr. Eddie Madden, and he also, we discussed this as well, and he seemed to think that made, was a logical approach. So I don't know that there's any right or wrong answer. We don't know exactly where the most investment will come from,
The
so.
only reason I was asking, I was looking at the cause of this set up, and I was hoping that the commission could take a closer look at what was wrong with that. If they were gonna do something like this, that we would be involved and know precisely the reasons why and how this thing was put in place. Because this is gonna be one of a lifetime opportunity for them to put these quarters in. I wanna make sure all pieces of it is inclusive with everybody.
Well, yes, sir. Well, that's why we sent the information to you a few weeks ago as quickly as we were informed about it. Had it on the agenda last week to try to get feedback. So I don't know that there's any right or wrong, so we're open to, any suggestions from.
I'm asking Commissioner Houston to come in and do a presentation to us to give justification for what he's done and where he's going. If he's the one
Well,
that's here.
I'll be, well,
I didn't understand, I don't understand the
You
handout
need-
you give me.
you need some clarity.
I couldn't understand.
I don't know that, unfortunately, I don't know that we've tried to get additional information from Mr. Richardson and others, and I don't know that, I'm sure some are, maybe could explain it, but there are a lot of folks, it's so new, there are a lot of folks that can't tell you the exact specific.
But I understand we had to put the cause in place, it was a timeline, that you had to get things put in place with those zones, but I'm trying to say, I would like to know how they were designed and why. what
Okay,
what
that maybe,
went into them.
that's a very good question. Maybe I didn't communicate clearly enough. These are census tracts, and in Bladen County, there are only 6 census tracts in Bladen County. And Robin, if you could pull that, if you could scan it or zoom out.
When do you have to have a response to this?
I would just like to have a little workshop or something, a little bit of time, looking at this a little bit closer.
Okay, zoom in a little bit more if you can, Robin. These census tracts are already established, and so when I say a zone, I'm just referring to a census tract. So it's not like anything's been formed or whatever. I mean, we're
But
just
just like Mr.
selecting.
Peters said, it's
one of
kind
the
of
6.
hard for us to define the terminology and what's going into this.
Right.
We looking at census tracts and want to identify them and know precisely where they fall in that economic barrier. Because you're talking about bringing economics to that region of the county. That's what you're talking about doing, getting
Right.
investments.
My
Yes, it-
request is get Chuck scheduled to come in on a meeting.
Sure, talk to us about it.
When is your deadline?
David Richardson had hoped to have the information this week, but I don't, if I understood correctly, the governor's gonna make the choice in April, so I'm not sure that.
What I'm saying is, I don't have a problem with them taking that professionalism, expertise to go ahead and try and outline this to get it in.
Right.
But I like to know what goes into it, what everything's been into making that determination with the zoning. Like I'm saying, Bladenboro is out.
And the
I'm
simple,
trying to
I
figure
mean,
out-
I'll be glad to tell you the simple answer on that. The simple answer is that the most investment, the largest investments in Bladen County in recent years have come from reinvestment in the facilities at Smithfield and DuPont or Comores.
But from
Going forward, that's not helping what they've invested in the past.
Right.
No, I know,
Low
but
income.
but they
So
continue to
chances are, they're
reinvest.
not gonna invest a whole lot more.
And the way I looked at it, when I was in DC, the reason that they were doing it, and everybody was so excited about it, that they knew they had companies that was already there that was reinvested, some of them are already doing that. The thing was to bring in new ideas and concepts and new people that would have that incentive to come in and invest in a rural county. Not Smithfield, but other industry would come in. With technology, different type of vision would come in and say, with that kind of capital gains tax eliminated, would they come in and invest? Not just in Smithfield, but Smithfield is gonna add more hog houses and more ice plants. We need to look at different type of industry coming into town. That was my concern.
I would, due to the time frame on our little group meetings, you're trying to set the time on, see if we can include him on the small group meetings, and that way we can tie it in and expedite and get it done quicker.
Might could do it 2 to 4 budget meetings.
And do something.
Yes.
What we mentioned is that we did, place at your desk there, a phase 4 project schedule, so that should be your information.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Martin.
you.
Individual delegation wishes to address the commissioners. Any correspondence? Can I get a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Cogdell, got